Hello, this is Dawn. Just wanted to make a quick video to capture these thoughts. So this is a year of completion for many of us. I know it is for me. At the beginning of the year, I sort of had a sense that there would be a circling around to various situations, things in my life, and just in general in the world, a revisiting, if you will, for all of us to reconsider and to determine either, yes, I'm on the right trajectory, the right course, and I want to continue moving in this direction, or for some reevaluation and some reconsiderations. And so I know for me, there's been a bit of both, and it's been quite a jumble actually at times. And I just was thinking about that today as I'm here in my last day in North Carolina. I've been in the Asheville area for the most part for the last week and a half, except for a quick trip back to Atlanta to make one move. And I've got another move coming up this weekend. So right in the middle of transition myself and some of those completions that I'm talking about. And I was thinking about this as I was driving in the beautiful countryside here in North Carolina and looking at these, 100-year-old barns and cabins and on the country roads that just make me so happy, and the cows and the sheep and the fences and all of the beauty that has been here for generations. And at the same time, I was very much appreciating the newness of life that was springing up after a rain here in North Carolina. And I was just considering how, sometimes there are traditions that serve us and that stand the test of time and that contribute beauty to our lives and that remain. And there are lots of things, in terms of traditions and in terms of beautiful pieces of our history that do not serve us. They serve, no useful purpose to keep them lodged in our lives. And I know for myself that awareness has been really huge this year. I've really been able to see some patterns in my own life and reflected for me in the lives of others that have allowed me to revisit some of those patterns and some of those choices and some of those ways that I'm moving through the world. And they've really been a gift, when they show up. So it's so easy for us to get really wigged out and, really focused on the inconvenience of these new opportunities for growth, right? Because trust me, sometimes they require us to either willingly and willfully ignore the opportunity for growth and expansion, which doesn't work. In the long term, it just simply doesn't work. Trust me, I've tried it. I've tried it every which way you can, and at some point you come back up face to face with the truth that you know. You come to a moment of radiant realization about who you are, and is there resonance or is there dissonance with who you truly are and who you are showing yourself to be, or who you are presenting yourself as, or what role you are playing? Is that authentic? And so I don't know about you, but it's definitely a purpose of mine to really move through life in a way that feels clean and that feels true to me and that feels what I like to call relentlessly authentic. I own that phrase that was once put on me as sort of a put down, but you know what? I am relentlessly authentic, and that is exactly how I want to move through this life. So in considering all of these opportunities for completions, it has really become apparent to me that there are so many of us that come up against those and face moments, often recurring levels or moments of, that familiar fear about letting go of all of these things that have become so familiar. And in some cases, for some of us, we have literally built our lives on the foundation of a specific role that we are playing, or a specific identity that we either took on that others offered and we accepted, or ones that we constructed for ourselves. And again, that's something that I've had a very personal journey with, in terms of identities that were partial and not the whole of who I am. And it's really important right now, at this juncture in our shared human history, and of course for each of us individually, and in all of our various relationships. It's really critical, I believe, right now, that we make an informed choice, and that choice is integral in integrity, that we are in integrity with ourselves, with what I often call our whole self and our soul self. Because if we just, kind of hedge our bets, sorry about that, and go along with something, knowing that there is something that doesn't feel complete about it. The stakes are high right now in our lives and in our world, and the energies have shifted. And the beauty of that is that there has never been a greater opportunity to experience joy and the wonder and mystery of who we are. And the flip side of that is that the consequences of shortchanging our own truth, or denying the essential truth of our souls, or otherwise trying to skirt around something, or fall back into patterns that are dictated by man-made laws, and or understandings that were, or constructs that were created, lines that were created, rules that we set up for ourselves, either individually and or society. We just bought into this, sort of a tradition that was handed down by church, by society, by family, generational, truths and beliefs that may or may not be true for us individually. So everything is up for evaluation and reevaluation right now. And this truly is, for me anyway, a year of completion. And some of those completions are quite painful. I do not want to minimize them in any way. So many of us are having to make choices about what kind of world we want to live in, and what kind of life we want to embrace for ourselves, or create for ourselves and for those we love. And the transition is sometimes bumpy. And sometimes we find that we have gone down a road that is perhaps not honoring of the fullness of who we are. And because of that, to have a course correction requires some difficult conversations. It requires some really hard and honest soul sessions with ourselves. We've got to there's a reconciliation process that must happen, and a restoration. And often in that process, as we're moving toward inner reconciliation, and then right relationship with others that serve humanity, and that serve each party within the relationships, and that are honoring and love-based, and not just love-based, but rooted in unconditional love, a whole new understanding of what love is, and a framework for love that is rooted in the one light that is the source of all of our being. As we do that, I think I lost my sentence there, but as we really lean into that, and we go through this process of full restoration, the full reclamation of who we are, and the radiant realization of who we are individually and together in a matrix of soul, as we really come to terms with that, it does require us sometimes to step back, rest, just be with it all and know and trust that all is well, and that we are loved, and that we are love in these completions and in these transformations. For some of us, that may be also coinciding with a spiritual awakening. For others of us who perhaps went through a spiritual awakening earlier, it may be that we are now like for myself, I'll speak for myself. It can be easy to sort of judge myself, like, what the heck have you been doing? You have been you've been on this path of awakening for however many years, and yet in certain choices, I've been really stubborn, and I've held on to things that I knew full well um, were not in complete integrity and in alignment with my soul's truth and radiance. I often refer to that as your star power. So your soul's truth and radiance. And when you are not honoring the fullness of your soul's deepest knowing, and when you are willfully and willingly putting aside what you know deep, deep in your heart, you're only delaying for yourself um, the wonder and mystery of life and that joy of living in full expression. And you're diminishing your own light and your contribution to humanity. So I'm rambling a bit here. I hope this is making some sense for any of you who might watch it, and it's been good for me just to kind of talk through it. But I just really would encourage you, and I'm encouraging myself here to honor the process, to be with it, to be open to all that wants to come forward as you courageously and with unconditional love for yourself and complete honoring and forgiveness for yourself and all others involved. If you step into that whole new way of seeing yourself, that whole new way of being you, and that whole new way of freeing you, because that's what we're being called to, a new path. New dimensions are opening up in terms of the possibilities that are there for us as a human race, and that are there for each of us individually. This is a time of expansion, and it's a time of expansion for all if we so choose it. And that includes opportunities to restructure or relationships, key relationships in our lives, and to choose again the path that we wish to follow. And sometimes that is not crystal clear. Right now there are some things that are super crystal clear to me, and then there are several areas of my own life where I have a sense I'm being pulled in this direction, but I have, not a lot of specificity around what to do next. And so it's important in these transformations and in these transitions, in these completions, to simply be present moment by moment. And one of the best ways to do that is to get out in nature and just observe nature and be with the natural world and ask for divine guidance and assistance from those who are your guides, and from God, and from the truth that you hold within you, because all of that flows through you, it is within you. And we expand, I believe, radiantly from within, and it begins in our core. That can happen when we really bring our full love and honoring and forgiveness to ourselves first, and just be present to all that is and all that would be. And as you do that, it's like the song, row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. And the stream is indeed gentle. I was sitting by a beautiful brook in the woods, not far from where I am right now, yesterday, and I was just watching the water and how beautiful it flowed over these rocks that have, been there for so long, and it's just smoothing the rough edges, and it's cooling those who sit there, and the animals that and the plants that receive nourishment from the waters. So observe nature and learn from her, and then look and see that same beauty within you. And just be present to everything that's wanting to unfold right now. I wish you great love, and I really believe that these completions that we are going through right now, so many of us, are going to open up a way of miracles. I'll talk to you soon, okay? Bye.